All right, in the studio with me here is journalist and foreign policy analyst Michael Hughes, who's joining us live today to discuss the situation that we've been talking about. Now, technically, the U.S. and the Syrian army are on the same side in terms of fighting the Islamic State group. Could this common sort of track pull them together, U.S. and Damascus?
You would hope so. De facto, they're on the same side. And it's kind of ridiculous. Now, Obama's top military advisors made 2 points. Number one, we need to get them at their source, which is in Syria. Number two, air power alone can only do so much. Eventually, you need boots on the ground. And I draw an analogy to Afghanistan. The whole time, the secret's in Pakistan, the head of the Taliban, and we couldn't have boots on the ground there. Now, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, so we were prevented from doing that. But in Syria, we have surveillance flights going over, and all that means is they're probably establishing a plan to strike the country, which would be a big mistake. Now, ideally, if they were smart, they would start, the military advisors should propose a unified command. U.S., Syria, bring in Russia. I mean, Russia could help a lot. The UK, Saudi Arabia could help with the intelligence. So if they were smart, that's what they would do. But U.S. politics gets in the way, domestic, and we've had an anti-Assad stance from the beginning. I just remember Hillary's, he's got to go. And we've stuck to that line, and then Obama with his red lines. So politically, it'll be shooting themselves in the foot domestically.
But definitely the tables are turning now, because this might mean that, the U.S. might have to just shove that, that hate on the side and actually get in there and say, look, we need your help.
Right.
So right now, Washington is only spying on the Islamic State fighters in Syria. What could the operation result into? You did mention that if they started to, throw any kind of bombings without involving the Damascus side of things, what does this mean?
Then there's, you have the drumbeat of war between Syria, a clash between Syria and the U.S. It would seem pretty insane to me that the U.S. starts striking within Syria without working with the Assad regime. That seems extremely bold, especially when you have a partner, someone who wants to be a partner with you in order to do that. So, it's nervous. I'm nervous about the voices out of Washington, the people around Obama, his ambassador and his military, not his military advisors, it's the politicians, the State Department officers that are unwilling to even work with Syria. That's what's scary. But typically, the way they're going about it, they're prepping the ground, so to speak, for airstrikes, and I think that's obvious. Let
me talk to you a little bit about the Islamic State. We've seen videos roaming around. They're using social media as a tool to brainwash kids on a massive scale. Could these kids become some sort of a jihadist time bomb? Could we see this getting out of proportion for all sides, America,
sure.
the EU?
Sure. Yeah, and this has been going on for a while in Syria. De facto, the U.S. should have always been on Syria's side, because from the get-go, this revolt against the Assad regime was radicalized within like a month or two. And you have kids on the ground, some of them were secular, but these children, they need a cause to rally around. And jihadism is a nice narrative for them, with their backs against the wall. They reach out, and so these mullahs and these, extremists are providing them with a narrative. They're providing them with the story, providing them something to live for when they're in, they're susceptible to this message. So yeah, it's very scary that, the U.S., they should understand, they should see this and be willing to prevent a caliphate. That should be our #1 priority, one would think, right? Because of this brainwashing from it starts from the bottom up.
Well, we're looking quite closely at the developments in the U.S. and in Damascus, of course. And like you just said, hopefully there'll be some kind of coming together, and the U.S. might have to speak to Damascus after all. Thank you very much, Michael Hughes here, who's a foreign policy analyst as well as a journalist, joining us now in the studio.